Chapter 1. My girlfriend let a secret slip after a few drinks at a work dinner. In high school, I used to intentionally lose to him in math so we could be on the honor roll together. That's when I found out that she had never really loved me, the slacker. She loved my best friend, the whiz kid. I broke up with her and moved to another state to find a job. But she made a bet with her friends. He's a good-for-nothing with no money or skills. What can he do without me? He'll be begging me to take him back in 2 weeks over the phone, I asked her. And what if I don't? She smashed her phone. Seriously, can't she stand to lose? Isabel Sutton called me, saying she'd had too much to drink at a work dinner and couldn't drive, so she asked me to pick her up. When I arrived at the door of the private room, a lively group was reminiscing about their high school crushes. Isabel doesn't have any stories about crushes. I heard the most popular guy in school was chasing her back then. I smiled to myself, thinking that calling me the most popular guy was a bit of an exaggeration. Just as I was about to knock, I heard Isabel's pleasant voice. Oh, but I do. I used to intentionally lose to him in math so we could be on the honor roll together. The CD he lent me. I hid it for years, never wanting to give it back. When he went abroad, I was so afraid of losing touch that I started dating his best friend. Isabel's words struck me like a bolt of lightning. I couldn't believe it. Her secret crush was my best friend, the whiz kid, and she was only with me to get news about him. I sucked in a sharp breath. For 5 years I hadn't suspected a thing. She had hidden it so well. After a few seconds of silence, the room erupted in gasps of surprise. Wow. I never would have guessed you brainiacs have such unique ways of crushing. I have to know, what kind of guy could have our MS Sutton so wrapped around his finger? Isabel laughed lightly and uttered a single word, smart. So what happened? Did you confess? Did he come back? There's no what happened, Isabel said slowly. It was just a crush that went nowhere. Hearing someone in the room call for a waiter snapped me out of my trance, and I stumbled out of the restaurant in a panic. I felt like I couldn't breathe. A knot tightening in my chest. I braced myself against a wall, and it took a long moment to regain my composure. I remembered the day after our final exams, Isabel called me for the first time. You've been chasing me for so long, aren't you tired? If you go to the same city as me for college, we can be together. At the time, I was so thrilled I didn't want to hang up the phone, completely shocked that she'd suddenly said yes. Only now did I remember that just before she called me, Ethan Reed had announced in our class group chat that he had decided to study abroad. Later, Isabel went to a top-tier university, while I ended up at a third-tier state college in the same city. After graduation, Isabel started a company with her classmates, while I struggled to find a job. She always told me not to stress, that she could support me and didn't need the pocket change I'd earn. My friends would say the same thing. That my job was to take care of Isabel, that maximizing our household income was what mattered. But I couldn't accept it. I finally worked up the courage to register for the Professional Translator's Certification exam. A company had promised me an internship if I passed. But today, I finally understood. No matter how hard I tried, I was just a backdrop to make Ethan shine brighter. People started to file out of the private room, and Isabel's familiar voice grew closer. I didn't expect to see you today. Me neither. They were silent for a moment before the man spoke again. Was what you said in there true? Isabel answered with forced casualness. What, did I scare you? No, it's just the first I'm hearing of it. I turned and froze. Standing at the restaurant entrance, chatting, were the two of them. Isabel stood on her tiptoes and playfully ruffled the man's hair. The atmosphere was thick with intimacy. The man slowly lowered his head. I couldn't stop myself from calling out his name, Ethan. Chapter 2. The man whipped his head around, his eyes taking a moment to focus on me. Sincere? What are you doing here? What a coincidence. I just got back in the country. I was going to call you tonight, Ethan said, his voice a little too loud, failing to hide his unease. I looked at the two of them, who had instantly sprung apart, and a chill ran down my spine. So it really is you. Isabel walked over to me, cupping my cold ears. Did you just get here? Why aren't you wearing a hat? Yeah. She turned to Ethan. "Ethan, where are you staying? Let us give you a ride back. It's late, and it's hard to get a cab around here." She didn't even ask for my opinion, as if I were just the chauffeur she had summoned. "Is Sincere driving? I remember a few years ago when I was back, he took me to the mall, but the parking garage was too tight, and he was too scared to drive down." Isabel smiled and shook her head. "It's fine. He'll get the hang of it after a few more scrapes." Her tone was indulgent, but the words grated on my ears. Isabel opened the back door for Ethan, and after he got in, she slid in beside him. I said resentfully, "So you're really treating me like a driver?" Ethan snapped out of it and quickly apologized. My bad, I'm a bit tipsy. I'll take the front seat." But Isabel soothed him. "Don't bother. It's not a big deal." Once we were on the road, they started chatting about the gossip from dinner, leaving me completely isolated from the conversation. As I made a turn, I glanced at the rearview mirror and was stunned to see their thighs pressed tightly together in the back seat. I don't know who initiated it, but neither of them moved away. The intimate tension in the small car was so thick you could cut it with a knife. I stared, transfixed, at the mirror. They remained oblivious. Beep. The impatient honk from the car behind me snapped my attention back to the road. I yanked the steering wheel, swerving back into my lane. Isabel cleared her throat and turned her head away. I shot another quick glance at the mirror. The half-meter gap that had suddenly appeared between their legs spoke volumes. After dropping Ethan off at his hotel, Isabel finally moved to the passenger seat. "We have a partnership with an overseas lab, and it turns out Ethan is our contact person. What a coincidence." Seeing my sullen silence, Isabel said softly, "Since when did my Sincere get so petty? Okay, I'll remember to sit in the front next time, all right?" She leaned in to kiss me, but I turned my head away. "Put on your seatbelt. What's wrong with you?" I shook my head, saying nothing. Back at the restaurant, if I hadn't called out Ethan's name, they probably would have kissed. And yet, moments later, Isabel could act as if nothing happened and try to placate me. If you've already confessed to your crush, why keep up the act? Back home, while Isabel was in the shower, I made a call. "Miss Hayes, have you filled the position for that project yet? Is there still a chance for me to try out?" She hesitated for a few seconds before asking carefully, "Are you sure? That project is in the Midwest. Our streamers are based in Gilmore City, and it's not nearly as glamorous as New York." "I'm sure. I have an important exam in a few days. I can report for duty right after. Your girlfriend didn't seem to approve of you moving to Gilmore. Have you two talked it over?" "Oh, we've already broken up. A while back, a company had taken an interest in my English skills and agreed to let me work as an English language streamer. But as soon as Isabel heard it was out of state, she rejected my only job offer on my behalf. Now, what she thought no longer mattered. I had to forge my own path. Leaving New York, leaving Isabel. It was probably for the best for everyone. The study door was suddenly pushed open. Isabel, fresh from the shower with water still dripping from her hair, stood there. "What do you mean, report for duty? What broken up?" Chapter 3. Isabel's voice was tinged with panic. I blurted out a lie. "The exam requires early check-in, and the two exams require different materials, so I have to prepare them separately." Seeing the desk covered in textbooks and notes, Isabel didn't press further. "Is the National Translator Certification exam that hard? You've been studying for so long. It's been ages since I had your soup. Do you need my help? I bet I could pass it without even studying." My hand, flipping through the materials, paused. No thanks. Isabel was smart, especially when it came to exams. But her words still stung. Just as Isabel was about to head to the bedroom, a call came in from Ethan. "Sincere, do you have a formal tie I could borrow? I have an event tomorrow that requires a tuxedo, and I came back in such a rush I didn't pack one." Ethan asked so casually, as if nothing had happened earlier that night. "No, I don't usually wear ties." He laughed. "Right. Look at me, what was I thinking asking you? It's not like you have any occasions to wear one. Never mind, I'll figure something out." After I hung up, Isabel said, "Rest up, don't work too hard," and went back to the bedroom. I sighed, put on my headphones, and forced myself to focus on studying, pushing everything else out of my mind. By the time I closed my book, the sky was getting light. I didn't go back to the bedroom, crashing instead on the sofa in the study. When I woke up, Isabel had already left. I mindlessly opened my phone and almost tapped on Ethan's social media profile. He had just posted a photo a few minutes ago. In it, next to a luxury brand tie, was a pair of expensive jewel-encrusted cufflinks. I'm so jealous. Isabel's call came through immediately. Chapter 4, Sincere. What's with the passive-aggressive comment? Delete it right now. I was being sincere. Delete it. Ethan is our business partner. He's representing the company at an event tonight. I'm doing this for the company. Don't be so childish. Before I could defend myself, Isabel hung up with a sharp click. I shook my head, switched my phone to airplane mode, and resolved to focus on my exam and ignore all this drama. Over the next few days, Isabel was out early and back late. Finding her a distraction, I moved into the study. We were living under the same roof but never even saw each other. On the day of the exam, I packed my reference books and headed to the test center early. Looking out the car window at the dim city, I knew it was all about to end. Halfway there, I got a call from Isabel. There's a file folder on the desk. Can you bring it to my office? It's urgent. I need it as soon as possible. It's a confidential document, so be careful on your way. Don't lose it. You can make it in half an hour, right? Isabel was so frantic she didn't give me a chance to get a word in.
Isabel, I have my exam today.
You'll have to find another way. Today? I don't remember it being today. Isabel must have glanced at her phone calendar because her voice became more distant.
Sincere, just bring the file first. It won't take you long.
We're in a meeting for a multi-million-dollar deal. Every minute we delay gives our competitors another opportunity. You understand how important this is to me, right? If this deal falls through, we'll be broke by next year. I really can't. Before I could finish, Isabel hung up. I checked the time. If I delivered the documents, I would definitely miss the exam. I called her back, but she was probably in the meeting and declined the call. A few seconds later, she sent a text. A sap. I was so angry I wanted to throw my phone. But Isabel wasn't answering, and I had no other way to reach her. Finally, gritting my teeth, I told the driver to turn around and go home. When I delivered the documents to her office building, she was consoling Ethan. It's okay. You didn't lose the file on purpose. Sincere will definitely get it here on time. It won't cause any delays. Taking the file from me, Isabel let out a breath of relief and said casually, "Thank goodness you made it. I'll treat you to dinner tonight." To cover for Ethan's mistake, she was willing to make me miss an exam I had prepared for months. In her eyes, they were negotiating a multi-million-dollar deal while I was just preparing for some insignificant test. In her eyes, their bright futures couldn't have a single setback, while my sacrifice was trivial. I suddenly felt utterly disheartened, unable to hold on for another second. By the time I rushed back to the test center, the exam had already been going for an hour. No matter how much I begged the proctor, she wouldn't let me in. What's the use of panicking now? This exam is only once a year, and you're this late. Young man, you really need to get your act together. Numbly, I returned home, stuffed my thickest clothes into a suitcase, and bought a ticket for the next flight to Gilmore City. Before I left a note for Isabel. I regret loving you. This is the end. Chapter 5. A 2-hour flight isn't very long, but it's more than enough time to reflect on a 5-year relationship. Isabel had said she loved me, but only in bed. Isabel had complimented me, but only on my stamina. Counting up all of Isabel's promises, I realized just how little tenderness she had ever shown me. I had been lying to myself. After the plane landed, I had only one message from Isabel. "Are you done with your exam? The meeting isn't over yet. Just get a cab home. I won't be able to pick you up." She had no idea that because of her, I had missed the once-a-year exam. This worthless concern was almost laughable. I gave a bitter smile and blocked her on everything. It had been snowing in Gilmore City for a long time. After dark, the city lit up with warm, yellow lights, simple and graceful. After checking into a hotel, I sent a message to Miss Hayes telling her I would report for duty as soon as I had rented an apartment. Just before bed, Ethan called. "Sincere, where did you go? Why did you just disappear without a word?" It seemed Isabel was finally home and had realized I was gone. "She told you? Don't be so childish." Isabel was under so much pressure with that deal all day, and then she comes home to find your ridiculous note. Put yourself in her shoes. Imagine how hurt she must be. "Ethan, you saw the note, or are you at my place?" Ethan paused for a few seconds on the other end. "We had a celebration dinner. Isabel had a bit too much to drink and your phone was off, so I brought her home." I glanced at the clock on the bedside table. It was already past midnight. "It's fine. You don't have to explain. That's not my home anymore. I've already left New York. Are you really breaking up with Isabel? She provides for you. You've never had to struggle for anything. So many people envy you. How can you bear to leave her?" Before I could answer, I heard Isabel's drunken voice in the background. "He's just an underachiever from a third-tier college who can't even find a job. What can he do without me? He'll come crawling back, begging me to take him back in 2 weeks." A hot tear slid down my cheek. In Isabel's eyes, I had always been a good-for-nothing. No matter how hard I tried to catch up to her, she never saw it. Suppressing my emotions, I forced a laugh and asked, "And what if I don't?" Isabel, enraged, smashed the phone. She didn't know that in this emotional tug-of-war, I wasn't going to let myself lose again. Snow fell softly from the branches. The glaring sunlight outside my window was a stark reminder that I was in a new city. A message from Ms. Hayes came in early in the morning. "If you're renting near the office, these few apartment complexes are convenient and the quality is pretty good. Just a recommendation. If you're not sure, I can go with you to check them out." I knew Miss Hayes was worried I couldn't handle it on my own. The truth was, during my years with Isabel, I was the one who had handled everything: finding apartments, buying our place, decorating. She never lifted a finger. I was already an old hand at communicating with agents and haggling with contractors. I thanked Miss Hayes and went out on my own. With her recommendations, renting an apartment went smoothly. After signing the contract, I bought a white rug, a black single-seater sofa, and a sea blue floor lamp. None of these things would have ever existed in Isabel's world of pink. Lying on my small bed that night, I suddenly realized that for the past few years, I had been constantly trying to please Isabel. She thought I wasn't good enough, so I let myself be humbled into the dust. I had never even genuinely liked myself. Ding! A notification for a bank transfer echoed in the small, warm room. "Your account has received a deposit of $2,000 from account ending in 0211. Reference, living expenses." Chapter 6. Can you block a bank account? I had just transferred the $2,000 back when she sent another $7,500. Reference, for your trip. Eat well, stay somewhere nice. Are you crazy, Isabel? I broke up with you, I didn't go on a trip, whatever. Let her send it if she wants. The next day at the office, I found out that the Ms. Hayes I had been corresponding with wasn't the company's hiring manager at all. Her name was Victoria Hayes, and she was the CEO of this new agricultural tech company. When I first saw her, she was wearing a dusty rose sweater and light blue jeans, curled up in a corner of the conference room, listening to the team review recent livestream data. Even though we were in Gilmore, the work pace at this company was fast. After sitting through a few dazing meetings, I felt a bit lost. I realized there was a huge gap between me and my colleagues. I didn't understand the terms they were using, like ROI and CTR. My only option was to use a voice recorder to capture everything they said. What I couldn't jot down in my notes, I would listen to over and over again at home. After a week of shadowing other streamers, Victoria stopped me. "So? Are you adjusting okay?" "I think so. Good. Then you'll go live next week." "What?" I suspected Victoria had seen through my incompetence and wanted to get rid of me. My first live stream was, as expected, a total disaster. Among the pitifully few interactions, someone commented that the streamer's face was as stiff as if he'd had Botox. After the review meeting, I was still sitting in the conference room with a long face. Jason, a popular streamer, came over to comfort me. "It's okay, everyone's like that at the beginning." "Am I really that dumb?" Jason scoffed. "Dumb? A little." I felt even more dejected. I'm not trying to be mean, but half the handsome male streamers in this company are trying to impress the boss. You're the only one who's just clueless, hiding in the corner taking notes all day. Jason's words were loaded. What's the use of impressing the boss? In the end, it's all about the numbers. I said you were dumb, and you really are. What if you win over the boss? It's better to rely on yourself than on others, I said without thinking. Jason patted my shoulder and left the conference room. It dawned on me then that the younger guys in the office were indeed quite attentive to the boss. Come to think of it, Victoria was an incredibly elegant woman and had a great figure. She must have a lot of admirers. But she was usually quiet in large groups, probably hard to pursue. I was startled by the thought that had just popped into my head. "What are you talking about?" Victoria had appeared out of nowhere. I had no idea how much she had heard. We were talking about the review. Victoria seemed lost in thought for a moment, then said, "I'm taking you somewhere." The snow on the roads hadn't fully melted. 2 hours later, Victoria's car left the city and entered a vast, snowy plain. Large fields of corn were blanketed in snow. The world was serene, an endless, expansive landscape. Victoria parked in front of a small courtyard. "Vicky, you're back?" A hale and hearty old woman greeted us at the door. "Did you bring your boyfriend home?" the old woman asked, grabbing my hand. "Huh?" I looked back at Victoria, who acted as if she hadn't heard a thing. "Grandma, just whip up something simple. We have to head back tonight. Do you still have any of that corn from last time? Let Sincere try some." The old woman was incredibly warm, chatting with me non-stop. I did my best to praise her cooking and her spirit, which made her very happy. By the end of the meal, I was stuffed. As we were leaving, her grandmother insisted on packing things for me to take. I felt it was too much, but Victoria accepted everything on my behalf. On the way back, Victoria finally spoke. "Do you know why I brought you here? To help me understand our product's growing environment, taste, and characteristics. With personal experience, my next live stream will be more authentic and informative," I replied, racking my brain. "Wow, you've really thought this through." Victoria laughed. "I brought you here to shut my grandma up so she'll stop setting me up on all those ridiculous blind dates." Chapter 7. I was sipping the hot corn juice her grandmother had pressed into my hands and nearly choked. "Wait, Seeing my flustered expression, Victoria added with a mischievous smile, "and also to let you see the land where our new agricultural products grow." Why was she so full of tricks? Don't overthink it. I just wanted you to relax a little. I know you want to prove yourself, and I trust my judgment of people. You're not dumb, you're very hardworking. You just need a little time. I stared at Victoria's beautiful profile, momentarily at a loss for words. I knew my foundation wasn't strong, and I had been pushing myself for years to catch up. In Isabel's eyes, my efforts were worthless. But today, someone had told me that I wasn't dumb, that I was hardworking. My nose suddenly tingled, and I felt like a hibernating insect hearing the first clap of spring thunder. "Sincere, you need to learn to use your strengths. I didn't just trick you into coming to Gilmore for nothing, right?" The light caught her eyes, making them sparkle like stars in the night. I secretly clenched my fists, not to prove anything to anyone but for myself. It took me 1 month to go from being terrified on my first live stream to confidently chatting with foreign viewers in English about flavors and recipes. The day my position became permanent, I got a call from Ethan. He laid into me right away. "Sincere, are you really just going to abandon Isabel like that? You just up and left without giving any reason. Have you even considered her feelings? She has no heart for work right now. She's either driving around everywhere looking for you or getting blackout drunk. The company shareholders are really unhappy with her. What do you want her to do?" I pinched the bridge of my nose. "Ethan, I've tried my best to make room for you. What more do you want from me?" You knew. From now on, please don't contact me, not you or Isabel. I really don't want to see either of you." He was silent for a moment before replying coldly, "We didn't do anything. But if you've made your decision, then please get out of her life completely. Don't keep bothering her. I won't miss my chance this time." I laughed out of sheer frustration. If I was still bothering her, would you even be calling me right now? Ethan hung up in silence. I really couldn't understand Isabel. She had silently crushed on Ethan for so many years. Now that I was gone, shouldn't she be happy? What was there to be depressed about? In the end, it was probably just that she was used to having someone who always put her first. I opened my front-facing camera, fixed my hair, and got ready to go live. "Let's go, Chief. Let's try to break 1 million in sales in a single stream today." I looked up and smiled at the broadcast director. So this is what it feels like to be supported and recognized. Chapter 8. To celebrate my new permanent position, Victoria ordered hot pot and beer after the live stream, and we all ate at the office until late at night. I wasn't used to big crowds, so I stayed in a corner, quietly cooking meat and vegetables for everyone. Jason nudged my shoulder. "Hey, you're going a bit too far. A career woman and a boss? You're not passing up any opportunities, are you?" "What are you talking about?" I mumbled. "Miss Hayes has so much on her plate. When has she ever made a fuss about a newbie in the streaming department getting a permanent position?" he whispered in my ear. My face instantly flushed red. "You've given them so much meat. The batch you just cooked should be my turn now, right?" Victoria said, smiling at me. Here, boss, let me switch seats with you. I can't handle spicy food, I'll move to the non-spicy side," Jason immediately proposed. I instinctively grabbed his sleeve, but he just laughed and pretended not to notice. As the steam from the hot pot rose, I felt a daze come over me. For countless nights I had curled up on the sofa, waiting for Isabel to come home. She and her colleagues were probably having lively meals just like this. After the noisy dinner, everyone scurried off, leaving Victoria and me behind. I went downstairs first, only to see a familiar figure waiting outside the office building. Isabel. The woman, one arm in a sling, slowly turned around. "Sincere, you're off work? Do you always work this late?" Isabel's voice was hoarse. I had never seen her look so pathetic. She had dark circles under her eyes, and the corners were bloodshot. "What are you doing here? I just really miss you, Sincere." Isabel reached out, trying to pull me into a hug. I instinctively took a step back. "Sincere, it's been so long. Are you still angry?" I looked at her hand, puzzled. "I actually got here this afternoon. This godforsaken place is covered in ice." I wasn't paying attention and broke my arm. Her tone was full of grievance, but I just found it absurd. "You're a grown woman. Don't you know to be careful when the roads are icy?" "Yes, I can't take care of myself." "How could you just leave me all alone?" I let out a cold laugh. "What's going on with you and Ethan? Yesterday he called to warn me not to bother you, and today you show up here." "Isabel, are you some kind of flip-flopper?" Isabel's face fell. "What did he tell you?" "Sincere, I really only see him as a business partner. I never thought about being with him." I stared at the familiar face in front of me, but her duplicity made her seem like a stranger. "Whether you're together or not has nothing to do with me." "Isabel, we've already broken up. Please stop looking for me." "Sincere." Isabel grabbed my hand, and then she noticed my bare ring finger. She caressed the spot where the ring used to be, her eyes instantly turning red. "Where's the ring?" "Threw it away." "You," she gasped, then softened her tone. "You're right. It's time for a more expensive one. I'll get you a new one when we get back, okay?" I tried to pull my hand away, but she gripped it even tighter. "Let go of him." Victoria's low voice came from behind me. Isabel glanced at Victoria, a smirk playing on her lips. "So you're the one who tricked Sincere into coming to this godforsaken place in the boonies? Do you have any idea that he used to live in an apartment worth over $10,000 per square foot? He never had to suffer through a 9-to-5 job, and now he's working overtime with you until midnight." Victoria walked up to Isabel. "And do you have any idea that he graduated at the top of his class?" That he went from being too shy to interact with viewers to gaining 100,000 followers in just 1 month. That he runs a study group on his own time, and his morning reading plan has over 500,000 participants. The love and respect he needs, did you ever give him that? Isabel's face turned pale. She couldn't say a word. Let's go home, Victoria said softly, standing beside me. I followed her, my mind a bit numb. How did she know all that? Chapter 9. Mornings weren't peak traffic for live streams, so I could sleep in until noon before heading to the office. When I sauntered into the office, everyone was already gathered around my desk. Chief, I've only ever seen a bouquet this huge online. Who sent it? Who sent it? I pulled the card from the flowers and said flatly, an ex who has another man on her mind. The message on the card was equally laughable. Can it be my turn to chase you this time? I casually tossed the card in the trash and told my colleagues, anyone who wants flowers can take some. It'd be a shame to throw them away. Isabel had never chased anyone before. The little tricks she was using now were the same ones I had used to pursue her in high school. Every morning she sent the freshest roses. Every afternoon she bought boba tea for my colleagues. She registered a new number to send me morning and evening greetings, making awkward small talk about nothing. Seeing her standing downstairs, staring into space, for a moment I was reminded of the pathetic version of myself who used to follow her around in high school. I didn't want to string her along vaguely, the way she had done to me. Isabel, we need to talk. When she turned and saw me, her eyes lit up with joy. If you had treated me like this back then, I would have been grateful, but now I'm too old to take back what I've given up. The light in Isabel's eyes slowly faded. Why? You loved me so much. Why did you give up just like that? Did you know? A company in New York promised me an offer if I got my translator's certificate. I had seriously planned our future, trying so hard to get a little closer to you. Isabel asked naively. Did the exam results come out? The proctor didn't even let me into the exam room, I said, giving Isabel a bitter smile. I was an hour late. She froze. I'm sorry. I really didn't know it would make you miss the exam. That day I realized that in your heart your career was more important than me, and Ethan was more important than me. I can't forgive you for that, and I can't continue on with someone like you. Isabel choked back a sob. I'm sorry. I did have a crush on Ethan in high school. I thought he was brilliant and smart, but after I got together with you, I really did fall for you. I never once thought about breaking up. Isabel stared into the distance, unable to meet my eyes. Large tears fell onto her hand, but she didn't wipe them away. Go home, Isabel. We're really over. I patted her shoulder and turned to go back upstairs. That day she just stood there, stunned, for a very long time. Chapter 10. After that day, Isabel and her flowers and boba tea disappeared. My life was once again filled with preparing scripts, live streaming, and review meetings. Half a month later, Victoria and I went on a business trip to New York. At the annual Entrepreneur of the Year ceremony, I saw Isabel and Ethan again. I gave them a polite smile as a greeting, but Ethan looked at Victoria with surprise. Professor? I saw the name on the nominee list and thought it was just a coincidence. I can't believe it's really you. Ethan glanced at me. How are you two together? Before I could answer, Ethan pulled Isabel over. Isabel, this is my senior from UPenn, Victoria Hayes. She was my advisor's favorite student. The project we're working on is based on her previous research. Isabel's expression immediately soured. We meet again, Victoria said with a faint smile. You know each other? Professor, can I get your number? It's been so long, we should get dinner sometime. Unfortunately, my phone is dead. Victoria was so gentle when she rejected people that it was hard to get angry. We should go in, Isabel said to Ethan, then walked away. I'll find you a power bank in a bit, Ethan said, following after her. I never would have guessed that the new age farmer who pulled all-nighters with us selling corn was an Ivy League-educated whiz. I took out my phone and tried calling her. Sure enough, the phone in her pocket rang. She didn't say anything, just smiled and silenced it. I originally thought I was just along for the ride with my boss, but to my surprise, Victoria was voted one of the 10 outstanding entrepreneurs of the year. On the stage, the spotlight outlined her profile beautifully. The host asked her how a top-tier graduate managed to persevere in the tough and grueling new agriculture sector. She said, "When I failed to secure my series of funding, I only had enough money left to pay one last month of salaries. I thought about giving up, about quitting. But then I encountered a young man online. His educational background wasn't great, and he wasn't having much luck finding a job. But he didn't give up, didn't just slack off. To find a job, he even sent me his resume and his own industry research as a private message. At that moment I thought, how much preparation has he done? How many walls has he hit? Surely I can be a little stronger than him." A few months later I pulled through. New funding came in, and our product carved out its own path. But that young man still hadn't found a job. The audience laughed, but he was still trying. Not just for himself, but he also started a study group. I saw thousands of ordinary people just like him, all quietly persevering. I stared at Victoria's face, my vision blurring. Sometimes I think life is a marathon. Everyone's starting point is different, and everyone's pace is different. But what's important is that some people drop out midway, while others are always on the road. As soon as Victoria finished speaking, the entire hall burst into thunderous applause. My nose stung. All the grievances, the effort, the struggles, someone had seen them all. I was never alone. After coming down from the stage, Victoria returned to my side. People were still flocking to congratulate her. She leaned in and whispered in my ear, "You'd better not cry. The reporters are all taking pictures, it won't look good." I smiled at her and forced the tears back. Chapter 11. After the award ceremony, we rushed to a meeting with an MCN company. Victoria felt that I had my own unique style and should develop on a larger platform. After contacting several, I also felt that going to an MCN to develop my own media presence would allow me to do more. The head of the MCN laughed at Victoria. "I've only ever seen companies and streamers fall out over development issues. I've never seen someone like you who works so hard to cultivate talent only to turn around and pave a golden path for them." I was stunned, thinking I now owed her a huge favor. Then I heard her say casually, "It's not for free. I have equity in your company. It's just moving money from my left pocket to my right." So that's how it was. After discussing all the collaboration details, Victoria and I finally sat down for a proper meal. "So, does this mean I'll be moving back to New York for work?" I snuck a peek at her expression. "What? You still want to come back to Gilmore with me to sell corn?" "That wouldn't be so bad," I mumbled. I knew she was doing this for my career, but being pushed away so passively left a hollow feeling in my chest. "I don't think that's a good idea." My heart sank and I looked down, picking at the food on my plate. Do you know how a husband and wife team running a company can cause problems? The employees won't know who to listen to. "Husband and wife team?" I looked up and met Victoria's teasing gaze, instantly understanding what she meant. "Who's a husband and wife team with you? You didn't deny it in front of my grandma the other day. What, signing with a new company means you can just disown me? Are you some kind of modern-day traitor?" Victoria, she covered her mouth and laughed for a long time before finally composing herself. Okay, I'm being serious now. Sincere, you're a man. Are you really not going to take the initiative and confess to me?" "The flight from New York to Gilmore is 1 hour and 58 minutes. I will come to see you every weekend. Also, I'm planning to open an office in New York this year, so you don't need to worry about the long-distance issue. My parents are abroad and have very little say in my life. The only family I have here is my grandma, whom you've already met, so you don't need to worry about family conflicts. I don't want to tie you down with anything, which is why I'm only telling you this today. You don't have to say yes just because you're worried about losing your job. Sincere, what do you have to say to me?" She had thought about our future. She had prepared for it completely. This sudden, lengthy confession caught me completely off guard. I froze for a few seconds, then reached out and pulled her into my arms. "I like you a lot. Will you be my girlfriend?" Chapter 12. After handing over my work, I moved from Gilmore back to New York. Victoria escorted me back and then lingered for a few more days before returning. Even though we were long distance half the time, we never ran out of things to talk about, and our circle of mutual friends grew larger and larger. A few months later, Ethan called me out of the blue. He was going back to the U.S. I had heard that his collaboration with Isabel's company hadn't been going well. He had forcefully tried to apply successful foreign models, but they ran into numerous problems during implementation. After several major failures, the team lost faith in him, and he was eventually replaced as the project lead. Sincere, I lost. I can't believe it. I've never lost to you in my entire life, but I lost because of Isabel. You were just moved by her high school crush. You never really liked her that much, did you? Ethan didn't answer, just sighed and said I won't be coming back. Affected by the failed partnership, Isabel's influence among the shareholders also weakened. The board hired a professional manager to run the company, while she was relegated to overseeing only the technical R&D department. My MCN was incredibly supportive, and of course, I worked very hard. Our commercial collaborations were booked a year in advance. Later, I ran into Isabel at a business dinner. To get an earlier spot on our schedule, Isabel was pushed forward to offer a toast. She was clearly unhappy, but still raised her glass and downed 3 shots of liquor on her own. After sitting down, she was berated by her colleagues and boss for a while. Looking at her dejected face from across the table, I could no longer connect her with the fiercely competitive girl from my memories. When I got home, Victoria was on a conference call. While discussing the new hiring plan with HR, she leaned over and unabashedly kissed me on the cheek. Then she turned back to the call. Delete the line about academic requirements. That's a person's past, not their future. I want to see a candidate's potential, not what labels they're wearing. I wrapped my arms around her waist from behind. I suddenly remembered what she had said on the awards stage. We're always on the road.